right, let's get into the scuttlebutt of the day here. We got a lot of ground to cover. And we got to cover this stupid Bergdahl. First of all, the man is not a sergeant. He's a private. And he was promoted twice in captivity. Now, here's the problem that I have with this. Why was this man promoted twice in captivity when the Army knew? They knew that he left his post. They knew he deserted. And they knew where he was. They had actual people on the ground that could tell how many men were guarding him with guns. They knew where he was. They knew exactly where he was. And there was some communication. Why this man was promoted, I don't know. I've got a big problem with that. This man should never have been promoted. Oh, but he's been in captivity for 5 years. Yeah, he served his time. He's not going to be punished. Well, I think the Army might have a little something to say about that, but hopefully the American people might have a little something to say about that. I know his fellow troopers do. Now, I don't know what caused this guy to snap, man. I think it's a very sad and tragic story all the way around. I feel sorry for Mama. The dad, not so much. And I really can't feel sorry for Mama either. I mean, if she knows Daddy is, obviously he's Taliban now too. What is she doing with him? I don't like this story at all. But this man is not a sergeant. I will not call this man a sergeant. He's a private. I just wonder how many terrorists it would take to get that Benghazi filmmaker out of jail. Well, he started Benghazi, so he deserves to stay there for the rest of his life. Yeah, he embarrassed the administration. Well, Susan Rice is now back on the spin trail. And I watched it, I was going to play a little bit of it yesterday. But again, yesterday I was gone. It was a non-show yesterday. I was too pissed to get on the air. But every word, every answer that she gave, well, I really wouldn't call it an answer. But for the sake of this conversation, you have to call it an answer because she was asked a question. But every answer she gave, and she was on, this was with ABC this week with that George Snuffleupagus. Every single answer that she gave was spin and lie. Every single one. And I have them right here. I rewatched it and I said, you know what? I mean, every answer this woman gave is bogus. So I'm gonna lay it all out here. And we're gonna cover every single thing that she said. Now this stuff is important. I know I hate beating a dead horse sometimes, but this stuff is important. And then I've got two clips, the last two at the very end here. Two very short clips, and these are important clips because she actually said some stuff in here. It scares the living hell out of you. Well, if you're not already scared enough. And if you're not scared right now, you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. I'm scared to death, man. I don't know what the hell this government's going to do next. I'm afraid of getting sick. I'm glad this year I didn't get pneumonia and have to go to the VA. But I do have to say my VA, yeah, they're a little slow. I do have to say that they're a little slow. But overall, I don't have any real complaints. But that doesn't mean that I can't complain about the VA because there's people still on secret lists. And I can guarantee you that's still going on right now, even though this scandal is in full frickin' swing. These people will not stop. The only way you're going to stop these people is you're going to have to get them out of office. All of them. Every one of these appointees, the president on down, the entire administration. They're not going to stop. The government's not going to stop doing what the government is going to do until we stop it. We have to do the work here. And first, we need to start getting some better candidates. I'm sorry, but with all the time that the Tea Party has been together, and some of the you couldn't find anybody in Ohio and in Kentucky to challenge McConnell and Boehner. How about you there, Reince Priebus? You couldn't find anybody? Oh, that's right. John Boehner's one of your buddies. You don't want to get rid of him. Well, I do. The American people want to get rid of him. And now we've got rumblings of Trey Gowdy now, which God damn it, I knew it. I just had going to do something to break my heart. It's not him. I'm not there yet blaming him. I'm blaming John Boehner, and I'm blaming the system. First of all, this committee is already 2 years too late. But evidently now, Gowdy has brought on this guy. I don't know the full particulars yet, and I'm still trying to find out. And eventually, I'm sure it's going to keep coming out. By tomorrow, we'll have it. But he brought on the team here someone who has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood to be on the investigative team. Well, I mean, if you really want to stretch it, you could see why you would want to have somebody, in the Muslim Brotherhood to find out, inside information. But this doesn't seem to be one of those times. I don't understand. I don't understand why he needs that person there. He needs to subpoena the president. He needs to subpoena the defense secretary, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. I don't care if she's out of office. She needs to be impeached. They need to impeach they need to subpoena Valerie Jarrett. Ask her why she was in charge of the Situation Room. Why that 19-year-old punk ass, the dude, why he was even in the Situation Room. What was he there for? Who is this kid? He's a baby. Come on. He's still crapping in his diapers, for Christ's sakes. And this guy, he's making decisions in the Situation Room because the president is tired after a 2-hour phone call with Netanyahu. He's got to go to bed? What, are you kidding me? First of all, if you want to talk about going AWOL, the president was AWOL. He's the commander-in-chief. When the country is being attacked and you go missing, you go AWOL, you don't show up, how in the hell is that not grounds for dismissal? I don't know. I don't understand how politicians and even some Americans, how they can get up here and how they can defend this. How the hell do you defend anything in Benghazi? You can't. There's nothing defensible in Benghazi. Nothing. And yet we have people do it. Subterfuge. No one's going to lose any sleep over it. It's boring. But getting back to Susan Rice, this whole narrative now that they have to make this big distinction of hostage versus American prisoner of war. They have to make that distinction there. It's American prisoner of war, not a hostage. See, they're saying that this is, again, liberals only see the superficial side of any issue, every issue. It's all aesthetics with these people. Well, because he's an American prisoner of war, not a hostage, well, we can negotiate. But we never negotiate with terrorists. Well, yeah, you do. You just did. Served with honor and distinction. This is number 2. Served with honor and distinction. Well, I think there's a whole bunch of troopers that served with him that will disagree with that. Especially now we know that he wrote a letter before he left denouncing his citizenship. They went out looking for this guy. He went around the whole neighborhood there in Afghanistan, was looking for someone who spoke English so he could speak with the Taliban. And they picked this up over the airwaves, radio chatter. So they knew this guy was a deserter from the get-go, and the Army knew it. They knew where he was. They knew everything. This man did not serve with honor and distinction. Why they are saying that, I don't know. See, I think these people thought that they were going to get a whole bunch of brownie points by the public. Look, we killed bin Laden. We got the last prisoner of war out of Afghanistan. Oh, look at us. We're doing great foreign policy. Oh, man, Obama's foreign policy, he doesn't give himself enough credit. Really, Miss Jen Psaki? The president doesn't give himself enough credit for his foreign policy. Well, how much credit do you think he's going to give him on this? Huh? How much credit do you think the president's going to give himself on this? Probably a lot. He traded 5 Talibans for 1 Taliban. Those are his buddies. Those are his friends. Jihad, he loves these jihadis. For whatever reason, I don't know. He's putting weapons in the hands of Al-Qaeda, letting them all out of jail. I mean, is this guy, I know he wants to get rid of this Guantanamo Bay, but just releasing prisoners, just to release prisoners, to get rid of the prison, is stupid. Why worry about that? Why worry about it? Guantanamo Bay is a perfect place. They're not on American soil. They're away from everywhere. It's a perfect place. I don't understand. I just still do not understand why. No, and then bring them into America. The rest of them they want to bring into American prisons? No, these people shouldn't be allowed on American soil, period. I don't care even to stand trial. You stand trial in Guantanamo Bay. And why these men have not been tried already, I don't know. And these 5 that were released, first of all, what are they doing alive? They should have been tried, convicted, and hung. They should not be alive today to be traded. Served with honor and distinction, she says. Yeah, he did, didn't he? Leaves his post, and he wanted to go join the Taliban. This is what I think he did. I think he thought that, because he was all disillusioned, and he thought the American people were not really helping the Afghanis, and they were, killing them and calling them stupid, and they were this and they were that, and they really weren't doing the job that he thought they should have been doing. So he thought that he'd walk around, didn't have his gun, didn't have anything, and he'd go join the Taliban and try to befriend them. But they're not befriendable kind of people. So it probably took a little while. He was probably a little surprised. Why don't they welcome me with open arms? Well, maybe they did. We don't know. But this claim the administration made for making this ridiculous swap, this is number 3, his health. Now, I don't know if anybody's seen this video. Now, I don't know if it came on last night or came out this morning, but I seen it first thing this morning. And then a couple hours later, I tried watching it again, and it's been taken off. And I think the reason why they're trying to shut it down, take it down, but they can't really take it all the way down. There's too many copies of it out there. Once it's out there, once, man. But this whole narrative of his health, and this is her quote, "We had reason to be concerned that this was an urgent and acute situation. His life could be at risk. We did not have 30 days to wait. And had we waited and lost him, I don't think anybody would have forgiven the United States government. Well, everything that you people have done for the past 6 years, none of us are going to be able to forgive what you have done. What you did in Benghazi, Fast and Furious, IRS, Obamacare, stimulus packages, I mean, you name it. Rewriting the Constitution. Now they want to rewrite the First Amendment. They don't like that First Amendment. The First Amendment gives you freedom to speak. You can believe in whatever you want to believe in. Well, they don't know. That's a threat to the government. You can't have that. No, no, no. You're free to speak as long as you fit within these parameters. And if you don't know, well, you give us a call. We'll tell you if you can say it or not. But then this is my problem. This is where the hypocrisy is. This is how these people, they just don't think before they go out and spin. They don't think of the consequences of what is about to happen when they spin. So they go out here and they make this, oh my God, the guy's, damn near on his deathbed, and if they didn't move in and act right away, he'd have been killed. And then in her opening statements, she says, well, George Snuffleupagus asked him, well, how's he doing? Well, he's walking. He's in good physical condition. Well, when you watch the video, if they ever bring it back up again, if you can find it somewhere, of when he was being released, sitting in the back of the pickup, one of the guys was talking to him. And he looked like he was nodding his head, like in agreement, yeah, whatever. Then he was taken out. First of all, he did not look malnutritioned. He looked in pretty good health. He looked like he did not look like someone who hasn't eaten in a while. He did not look like that. And I do know what that looks like because I myself have been there. So I do know what that's like. He did not have that. Looks like he was fit pretty well. He didn't seem to have any trouble walking. His health did not seem to be in jeopardy to me. He looked in pretty damn good health. Well, I think what it was, since they were in talks with these people, the Taliban probably just got tired and they said, okay, you have 1 week or whatever to release these prisoners or we're going to kill this guy. So Obama doesn't know what to do, drops his shorts, and releases them, not thinking of the goddamn consequences. And they thought that this was going to be a big to-do. The American people were going to be all behind us. No, they're not. American people are wising up. They're waking up. They're starting to see your little games here, and they're not interested in playing them. But this whole narrative that his health was in such dire need. I mean, he just needed so much medical attention. My God, he was starving. He was this. He was that. He needed this. He needed. Oh, we have to move in, and we got to do it now. Then they take the video down because they don't want anybody to see that the guy was. Not suffering from malnutrition, seemed to be walking pretty good. So they don't want to see that. They don't think. They just don't think. First of all, his health was not the problem. This administration got scared when they threatened to kill him. Which they threatened to kill everybody. That's their... I'm sorry, but you don't negotiate with these people. And look what happens when you do. And now we've got more people wanting to get out now. There's another one in negotiations just today. And this is another bad dude. Well, they're all bad. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in Guantanamo Bay. But there are some, regular buck privates, foot soldiers, that kind of thing. But even them, I mean, a lot of them you can't trust. You can't let them out. First thing they're going to do is they're going to go back to the battlefield and start killing again. If there's no Americans, they'll get a Jew. If there's no Jews, well, then they'll stone their wife. They can always get another one. Number 4, this is her quote. We have a sacred obligation that we have upheld since our founding of the Republic to do our utmost to bring back our men and women who are taken in battle. Which, this is nothing but spin. First of all, no one with half a broken wet noodle for a brain believes that this president Never leaves anyone behind. I'm sorry, but the evidence is just too overwhelming that he does. You don't believe me? Well, here's what you do. You get on the horn and you call Ambassador Chris Stevens' parents. If you can't get him, maybe you can try Tyrone Woods' parents. Can't get him, you can try Sean Smith's parents. And if you can't get him, try Glenn Doherty's parents. Ask them if our government doesn't leave anybody behind. We shouldn't. That should be our motto. But we should back it up. Those are not words that you just use. You don't use words like that. And I'm sick and tired of people using that jihad word. Oh, they're going to do jihad with this. The politicians love to use that word. Republicans are committing jihad. No. Jihad is a completely, you don't use that word on anything but jihad. Maybe you should learn what jihad is before you start using it. That's not a word you just throw around there. It's not funny. It's not cute. Jihad is serious. That's a real thing. It's real. I knew about it in the 80s when I was over there. They didn't call it jihad. Well, they did, but we didn't call it that. We just called it holy war. It's the same thing, same stuff. Number 5, this has been a process. This is her quote. This has been a process that has extended off and on. Now, here's right here. This right here. This is, I know their spin because, see, I do a lot of research, and so I start learning stuff. So I'm able to listen to what they're saying, and I'm able to pick out every single word that is spin. This has been a process that has extended off and on for almost 3 years. Well, we're going to get to this. My problem is I just can't shut up. So I got to stick to the script. This has been a process that has extended off and on for almost 3 years. Towards the end of last year, we had some indication there might be it might be possible to return Bowe Bergdahl. These discussions, mediated by the government of Qatar, really came to fruition over the course of last week. Now, this is what she should have said. Well, this is what really happened. This has been in consultation for almost 3 years. Yeah, 3 years ago, they wanted to trade him in 2011. But overwhelmingly, all the committees, anyone that was connected in Congress, to this and had a vote on it, said no. There was a couple that went along with it because, they're liberals. But it hasn't been a process that's been extended off and on for almost 3 years. It came up once, it was turned down, then it came up again a couple of weeks ago, and they threatened to kill this guy. Otherwise, we're going to, if you don't release these 5, the worst men on planet Earth, the meanest, most villainous, most ornery, goddamn, just the creeps of all creeps. These people should not be alive today to be traded. It has not been a process that has been extended off and on for almost 3 years. It was brought up once and shot down. Number 6, quoting her again, in the past, we've had extensive consultations with Congress. They were well aware that this idea and this prospect, the idea and this prospect, this is her excuse. Maybe I should have wrote up here what the questions were before I just started talking, but I didn't do that, so my fault. But Snuffleupagus was asking her about this whole deal. Well, why didn't they go to Congress? The president, he broke the law. It was his law. He signed it into law 6 months ago. So I guess there's a grace period. He signed something into law. Well, you got to wait till a year or so until it's, fully, fully in. But if it's 6 months, you got a bit of a grace period, so you don't have to follow it. Plus, you got a magic pen, you got a phone, you're a president, and you got executive order power. What the hell? You don't have to follow law. You're the president. It didn't say anything in the Constitution where presidents have to follow the law. Especially if you're a king. But in the past, we've had extensive consultations with Congress. No, you haven't. They were well aware of this idea and this prospect. Yeah, they were well aware of it. That's why they shot it down, because it didn't make any sense. They were well aware. Congress was way well aware. Well, see, they were well aware that you did this 3 years ago. Okay, and you brought it up once, and it was shot down by Congress. Then 3 years later, you think this, you don't have to talk to them again? You don't have to give them the 30 days? You could have at least said, hey, look, we're going to go over and do this. We don't have 30 days. They could have done that. They could have got together with Congress and said, look, we don't have 30 days. Here is the reasons why we don't have 30 days. You got this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Now, we're going to do this. We're going to get this guy back. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. But we're going to inform you. We're sorry that we don't have 30 days, but these are the reasons why. They didn't do that. Because they know Congress would have said no. So why, look, when you want to do something when you were a kid, and you knew that if you asked your mom and you could do it, she'd say no, so you didn't ask her. You just did it. Well, that's what's going on here. They didn't ask Congress. They didn't talk to Congress because they know Congress would have said no. And they would have turned it into a big to-do. Yeah, and the guy probably would have died. But look, when you leave your post to go join the Taliban, you're going to have to expect certain things. I'm sorry. But it seems to be all evident, and if I can ever shut up long enough, we're going to get to this evidence, that he went there specifically to join the Taliban. In the past, we've had extensive consultations with Congress. They were well aware of this idea, and this prospect was one that the administration was seriously considering. When it came to fruition, the Department of Defense, in consultation with the Justice Department, first of all, what the hell does that mean? Well, they talked to the Department of Defense and the Justice Department. They said it was okay. Is the Department of Defense and the Department of Justice, are they Congress? No. When it came to fruition, the Department of Defense, in consultation with the Justice Department, determined it was both appropriate and necessary for us to proceed in an expedited fashion, and that's what the president decided to do. There's another reason why they had this swap. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know if we'll ever find out. But I don't believe this whole narrative that his health was in the shape that he needed to be rescued immediately. Not buying that. And why these 5 top Talibans were released, there's another backstory in this. And I don't think we're ever going to find out. Maybe we can. Maybe somebody can, be a whistleblower, spill the beans. Who knows? Maybe we can find an email. Maybe we can find a tweet. But it doesn't take very much intelligence at all to realize that there's a couple backstories here. Now we're going to get in. Now we're going to get into the audio clips here. Let's see, where are we? Okay. She was asked by George what the administration's assurances were that these terrorists would not return to the battlefield. See, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to inform Congress within 30 days. Hey, look, we're going to release, this, and this, and this guy. And here's what we've got right here to ensure that these men will not return to the battlefield. Well, I got 2 clips here. And he asked her twice for the assurances. Now, I listened to it several times. And I listened and I listened and I listened and I listened. You know what? I didn't hear what assurances they have. Other than, I can't go into details. Really? I can't go into details, which means they don't either have them, or if they tell you what the truth is, it's going to expose them. You can go into details. I'm sorry, Miss Rice, but yeah. American people need to know what assurances that we have that these men are not going to return to the battlefield. Not only does Congress need to know this, but the American people need to know this. This is our safety too, you know. Well, you listen to these 2 clips. I'm going to play the first one, we'll talk about it, and then we're going to play the second one. But you listen for yourself and see if you can hear the answer. Where's the first one here? Go ahead and play this couple.
Detainees being sent back to Qatar. There are fairly high-level Taliban detainees. We know that they're going to have to stay in Qatar for at least a year. The question, though, is the law requires assurances that they're not going to be able to return to the battlefield. Senator Sexby Chambliss saying those assurances so far are feeble. What assurances do you have?
Well, the law says that we need to have sufficient confidence that the risk can be substantially mitigated, and we do have those. We do have that confidence based on a detailed understanding with the government of Qatar, based on President Obama's personal communication with the Emir of Qatar on Tuesday when it looked like this possibility might be imminent. And those assurances relating to the movement, the activities, the monitoring of those detainees give us confidence that they cannot and in all likelihood will not pose a significant risk to the United States, and that it is in our national interest that this transfer have been made.
Whoa, 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 whoa. How the hell is this in our national interest to take the 5 meanest, most villainous men on planet Earth and giving them their freedom? How is that within national interest? Excuse me, Miss Rice, but what national interest do we have? And again, you didn't give the assurance, well, they're going to be monitored. Well, we're going to get into that, of how they're going to be monitored. We're going to get into that. So then old Snuffleupagus asks her again, the second time. Now go ahead and play. This is a shorter one. Go ahead and play this one.
What are those assurances, and what happens after a year? In the past, we have seen high-level Taliban who've been released go back to the battlefield.
Well, George, I can't get into the specifics of the understandings, but they relate to restrictions on travel, movement, and the activities of the individuals who will be in Qatari care. But those assurances, I can tell you, are such that we are confident that the risk has been substantially mitigated, and that this is, in fact, consistent with the national security interests of the United States.
Unbelievable, this woman. I mean, does she understand what she is actually doing? Did any of these people in this administration, do they understand the effects that they create, that they cause with their actions? Do they understand their actions, how they directly affect the American people, not only in America, but worldwide? I mean, America right now is a laughingstock, man. Nowhere in the world anymore. The only people that want to come over to America are the Mexicans and the South Americans, because they got tyranny. And they think they're going to try to get freedom over here. Well, they do get freedom. We don't. And I got another story in here today. You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. See, that's the Democratic voting base right there, is the illegal aliens. And I'm sorry, you aliens coming over here. Okay, look, no one has a problem with people coming over here and wanting to become American citizens. We all came from somewhere else to get over here. That's the beauty of this country. You can be anybody and still be an American. But you people that are being brought over here by us, and we're allowing you. This administration is basically going over there to Mexico, loading up the buses and bringing them over here. You're not being brought over here, aliens. You're not being brought over here to be citizens. Okay, you're being brought over here to be a vote, and that's it. You are nothing but a vote to these people. You want to come over here, we welcome you, but you're going to have to do it the right way. My family did. They had to leave a couple of them behind. One of them, I think my grandmother's aunts or something, she was blind. And they wouldn't let her come over because she was blind. Even though they had enough family members that were going to take care of her, they were not allowed to let her come over. You're not being brought over here to be a citizen. You're brought over here to be a Democratic voter. Meaning you vote for the Democrat Party and that's it. And once they find out that you don't vote Democrat, guess what happens? Well, look at this. Well, we've got deportation papers here for you. Well, this is how mitigated these threats really are. Qatar, which, look, Qatar is not sweet and innocent. The Qatar is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, more every day. Don't think for 1 second. Now I know Qatar has done some help. They have done some work with the Americans on the war on terror. But they're Muslims. They all stick together. And jihad is real. Don't think for 1 second that these guys are going to be well monitored. What the hell is that? You monitored? Yeah, you know how you monitor them? You put them in a cage, and you check on them every once in a while. That's how you monitor them. And you lock the cage. You throw away the key. You weld the lock shut, so you can't fit a key in it. They'd never get out. That's how you monitor them. Well, Qatar has moved these terrorists to a residential compound. I'm pretty sure a nice one, too. And we'll let them move freely about the country. Oh, yeah, you can go anywhere you want to. Oh, yeah. U.S. officials said they would be subject to certain restrictions in Qatar. What? Well, one would include a minimum 1-year ban on traveling outside of Qatar. See, because Obama's getting the troops out of Afghanistan, so he thinks that, well, if they can't leave Qatar in a year, and if they do leave in a year, we're not going to have any troops over there, so everything is everything. Well, we're still going to have troops over there. We're still going to have troops over there. We're still going to have people over there. And we're probably going to have people over there for a long time, and I believe we should. It's unfortunate, but this war on terror, it's not going to go away. This jihad, it's not going to go away. A 1-year ban on traveling outside Qatar. You really think they're gonna do this? You really think they're not going to be allowed to do whatever the hell they want? You really think they're going to stay there in Qatar? They're not going to go back to Afghanistan? You really think that? Well, no U.S. officials are allowed to be involved in the monitoring. So the U.S., how are they supposed to know that they're still in the country if we're not being allowed to monitor them? Well, I guess we got to bring spies over there. Okay, let's say that we do. We bring a spy and we find this person that's over there. What can we do now? We don't have any more troops to go kill him, but he does have a drone, so I guess he can kill him with a drone. I mean, do these people think? They have been granted Qatari residency permits. They will not be treated like prisoners, and no U.S. officials will be involved in monitoring their movements. None. A diplomatic source said Qatar has flown family members of the 5 released Talibans and gave them accommodation, paid for by the government. I'm just wondering what government? Our government? I certainly hope that ain't the case, but I wouldn't be a goddamn bit surprised.